to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you.
You use the term sexual preference to describe those in the LGBTQ community. And let me make clear, sexual preference is an offensive and outdated term.
But this time, bring everybody along, regardless of color, sexual preference.
Based on whatever color, what their sexual preference might be.
By race, by age, by sexual preference.
It doesn't matter what your sexual preference is.
What their sexual preference is.
Never in the course of her military career had anything about her sexual preference had any impact.
Our society has come to respect people, whatever their sexual preference.
I don't think that you use the term sexual preference as just, I don't think it was an accident.
I certainly didn't mean, and would never mean, to use a term that would cause any offense in the LGBTQ community. So if I did, I greatly apologize for that. I simply meant to be referring to Obergefell's holding with respect to same-sex marriage.
Until the politically charged Senate confirmation hearing surrounding Amy Coney Barrett, anger towards us was practically nil. It was not in the public conscience, nor was it even widespread within the LGBT community. The usage of sexual preferences was the norm. Had there been any mainstream discourse long before and a consensus that it's better to say other terms instead, the situation might be different. But as it stands now, a word was changed overnight to form a gotcha moment against a political rival. And not just the media, but now the dictionary is changing things just to play along. A scary sentiment which should give us all pause.
Your posts on Facebook, Twitter, and social media will be saved to shame you.
Kevin Hart has stepped down from hosting this year's Oscars.
Anything you say that we don't like will be used to shut you up. Can't challenge us.
Kids grew up dipped in Purell, playing soccer games where they never kept score.
There is no debate.
The type of diversity that they hate is diversity of thought.
We reserve the right to be offended by everything. You can't be funny.
It's creating an atmosphere of fear and repression, and it's gonna bust.
You cannot think differently.
It makes it difficult for you to learn from other people.
You are not listening. I want your job to be taken from you.
A protest has turned violent in California, Berkeley.
Decency! 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 Decency!
Why are the college students so politically correct?
Why they're so politically correct now? Well, they're the inheritors of 30 years of identity politics, and that's part of the problem.
What is that?
That means that, instead of saying we all have general principles by which we live and seek to sort of understand our lives, that I'm going to stand up for the feminist cause, I'm going to stand up for a particular racial or ethnic cause, and I'm going to fiercely guard that and completely stand on the side of that issue.
Tribal.
Yes, it is rather tribal.
So tribal, aren't we?
And I think that, I don't blame the kids for this. A lot of people really demonize the kids.
It's the parents, right?
I think so, because, when kids come to college, when they come to any school, they are, by definition, they're ignorant. They don't know anything yet. And it is the moral obligation of their teachers, of the adults who work in that institution, to teach them something, to relieve them of this great burden of ignorance. But there are so many professors who have completely abdicated that position and have just cravenly ceded to whatever these poor kids who don't know anything yet. What they come and say, they're just reinforced by the professors. And the whole system is now being run by these kids who are paying the tuitions that pay the salary.
When we talk about identity politics, which is a controversial topic, we start by saying, of course you need identity politics. Identity politics is not a bad thing automatically. Politics can be based on any distinction. It can be based on any group interest. So for gay students or black students or women to organize, that's identity politics. That's perfectly legitimate. The question is, how are they organizing? What's the overarching framework? And we've seen two versions of it in American history. You can do it the way most of the civil rights leaders did it, Martin Luther King in particular, where you draw a larger circle around the group, you emphasize what we have in common, and then you say some of our brothers and sisters are being denied equal access, equal opportunity, or equal dignity. That works. That has worked historically in much tougher times and zones. The other way you do it, which is growing on college campuses, is common enemy identity politics. It's based on the Bedouin notion, me against my brother, me and my brother against our cousin, me, my brother and cousin against the stranger. It's a very general principle of social psychology. If you try to unite people, let's all unite against them. They're the bad people. They're the cause of the problems. Let's all stick together. That's a really dangerous thing to do in a multi-ethnic society. We have to work on our speech climate. In the business world, it's called speak-up culture. In the academic world, it's called just basic openness to ideas. When you put people together and you want them to talk, of course people have a lot of different goals and fears. Nobody wants to say something stupid. Nobody wants to say something that will get them into trouble. If you can create a really trusting environment in which we're all in this together, contribute your ideas. If someone says something and you think it's wrong, say so. That's going to lead to more innovation. That's going to lead to more progress. But what if you have an environment in which if I say something that offends anyone, they can report me anonymously to HR or some other entity? I'm going to think 3 times before I speak up. In organizations that value innovation, we have to not just encourage people to speak, we have to assure them that they're not going to be shamed, humiliated, or punished for sharing an opinion in good faith. Look, we have a culture war raging all around us. It's very easy to take offense. People are understandably angry. Here within these walls, we have to put that aside. We have to trust each other. We have to give each other the benefit of the doubt. And it's going to be good for all of us to do that.